which has more BTU content in it than the gas does that you're pushing out. It doesn't make any sense. It would be like trying to start a campfire with it would be like trying to light the back end of a match with a butane lighter to light a campfire. You wouldn't do that. There's more BTU content in 1 gallon of salt water than there is in 1 gallon of diesel fuel. So why in the world would you take water, which has more BTU content in it than the gas does, to push it up? Can you answer that question?
I can try.
Please.
If it were so easy to get the BTUs out of the water and use it as a heat source, we'd be doing it.
Maybe you're not doing it the right way.
Well, no, it's a technology problem that has its roots in thermodynamics, and
which I've studied, by the way.
Yeah, and so have I, and it gave me a headache.
Not me, though.
You know, your original question, why do they have to add these chemicals? Okay, well, there's a lot that can go wrong. They use the water as a fluid, as a pressure transfer mechanism to create pressure downhole in the rock formation to crack the rock and create pathways that the gas can migrate out. Now, they need to add sand or glass beads or something to prop those cracks open, because over time, with the pressure of all the overlying rock, those cracks will close up. And then there's a lot of things that can go wrong down there. Corrosion happens because you've got steel pipe. You can have bacterial growth, which in those cracks, which then occludes them, forms a glaze layer over the rock surface in the cracks and prevents migration of the gas out. So, you know, there's legitimate reasons as to why they use corrosion inhibitors, why they use biocides, why they use a proppant. I don't understand myself why there are 596 different chemicals that are used. That's a good question, and one that I don't have an answer for.
I'd like to help you out on that question. The reason that they use hydrofluoric acid is it's used on the drilling process to keep that bit from breaking. If they do not use a process with these hydrochloric acid along with the other compounds, within 3 days, if they retracted that boring bit, you could hit it with a hammer and it would disintegrate.
Thank you.
And my question is, let's see, you said Pittsburgh had put a moratorium out on drilling, and we're going to eliminated drilling from inside the city. Can townships do that same thing? Doesn't a township have the same right as a large city of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, currently there's been probably 3 Pennsylvania Supreme Court cases that have upheld the ability of local municipal governments to regulate Marcellus drilling through zoning. If you have zoning in place, you can actually deal with it that way. A lot of the rural areas don't have any zoning, so we're really in a bad way that way. The other approach is to use a standalone ordinance like Pittsburgh is adopting. They're working with CELDF, the Community Environmental Legal Defense Fund, which works on helping communities adopt ordinances where they want to say no to inappropriate activities within their municipal boundaries. So that's the one Pittsburgh's using. They're using the other approach. So yeah, you can do that, and it has been upheld. You cannot regulate oil and gas drilling as a municipal government. Any aspect of it that's already covered under the 1984 Oil and Gas Act, the DEP does that. But you are allowed to, you can actually ban drilling. The Supreme Court's upheld in Pennsylvania that you can ban drilling in residential areas.
I have a question for you, Bill. What's the likelihood that what Pittsburgh has done will come under legal challenge by the industry?
I think Pittsburgh's already accepted the fact that that ordinance, that standalone ordinance, will be challenged by the industry. I don't think it'll make the industry look very good to try to override what citizens actually want. South Fayette Township, where our family's farm is in southwest Allegheny County, is working the other way. They're using an amendment to their zoning ordinance that they do have, and they hired a law firm. One of the local citizens groups hired a law firm out of Pittsburgh, and that lawyer's been attending the public meetings, and that lawyer actually stated that they thought that would be challenged too. So I think it's really going to be interesting to find out, the reaction of the industry, because now they're basically overruling what people actually want to see in their communities.
The oil and gas industry has a bill before the Pennsylvania legislature to remove the authority of local zoning in that manner, so that's their reaction. I thought that was interesting.
Well, actually, they had bills this summer to remove local, the ability of municipalities to actually regulate through zoning.
Like the Halliburton loophole with zoning as well.
Yeah, but they also had bills that would have created forced pooling for landowners and removed their right to individually negotiate with an oil and gas company for the best possible deal for if they wanted to lease their mineral rights. There was also, basically a bill to break the entire state up into 640-acre grids, square miles, because that's what the industry thinks. They want the Optimum reservoir. Basically, to tap that reservoir, they want a well every 80 acres. So 640 acres is 8 times 8, roughly 8 wells on a Marcellus site would tap the entire reservoir. And there's some figures as low as 40 acres. The industry's also mentioned. So if you put that in number of wells in Pennsylvania, when I talk about significant land use change, Dr. Graffia up at Cornell has estimated that would be 400,000 Marcellus wells in Pennsylvania. Penn State disputes his figures at a recent conference and said it would only be 200,000 wells. Does that make you feel any better? And I'd go with Graffia, I think. Food for thought. Anybody have any? What'd you think of the movie? Nobody said anything. I've seen it a couple times and I'm still shocked. We'll get you a mic coming across. No, everybody will be able to hear you.
I think that's why the production company is called WOW. I really do.
I was reading where the companies that have started the drilling. Okay, I was reading where the companies that had started the drilling here had sold out, and that foreign companies have bought out a lot of the companies that have already, I think, started the drilling. Is that so? Do you know anything about that? Foreign companies.
East Resources, over where I live, was purchased by Royal Dutch Shell. And there was who was the recent one, Mary? Chevron bought Atlas Drilling. So, yeah, large companies are buying out smaller ones.
India, China.
Norway,
Yeah,
yep.
that's a frightening thought too.
Do you have any opinion on why the affected victims in the movie couldn't get any relief from an agency or litigation when it was stated over and over, you have to have the burden of proof that, you know, these chemicals are in your water, and they're lighting their water on fire or finding plastic in it? Why couldn't they get any relief through litigation or government, you know, action?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
They say that fools tread where angels fear to go, so I'll give it a try. It's cause and effect, okay? It can be very difficult. I mean, there's no question that that there's foreign material contamination in these people's water supplies. The difficulty is proving the source in a way that will stand up in a court of law, okay? And that's both a legal, and a matter of both law and science, okay? And it can be difficult. It can be very difficult. And I think therein lies the problem, is proving causation.
I think the other thing to remember is Dimmick took 2 years to reach the point. Dimmick was a